No, because my mic was unmuted. But welcome, guys. My name is Arshana. Welcome to the first ever episode of PJ Conversations. My name is Arshana. For those of you who are new to my channel and those of you who are new to this podcast, I'm really, really excited to be doing this first ever podcast episode. And I'm really excited because this is something that I have been like really asking and praying to God for, and really just like developing for about a year now. And this honestly couldn't be, oh my goodness, like the perfect time to do it. I know that we're getting into the end of 2024 and the new year is starting, but I have decided to develop this type of mentality and attitude to not wait, to be honest, not wait until the new year to start something new, not wait until the new year to, do the goals that we're supposed to like do and like complete them. If something has been laid on my heart, like if something um, has been like in my mind to do and something that God's been saying for me to do for a while, then why not do it now? Why wait? You know? I think that this is like the perfect time. So let me just tell you guys just a little bit about me for those of you who are new to my channel and new to PJ Conversations and are new to this live everything. I have a lot of notes because I wanted to make sure that I wrote down things that were kind of on my mind for me to say. So first things first, what in the world is PJ Conversations in the first place? PJ Conversations is going to be a podcast, a live podcast, where you can also listen on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And we might actually be launching on other podcast streaming services in the future, but definitely stay tuned for that. And with that, we're going to be having real and honest conversations about everything, about life, about our faith and our walk with Christ, about business, about how to grow in our lives and in our businesses and in our careers. We're going to be doing so many things. And so we have different topics that we're going to talk about, different segments, a part of PJ Conversations. And I want to make sure that you guys are tuned in, like heavily tuned in to what that entails. And hmm, one second. I'm going to check to see if you guys can hear me. Okay, perfect. So the thing about being on live stream is that I have to test out everything. But that's why I recorded everything on YouTube, and even on Spotify and Apple Podcasts is going to be edited. So that's not something you'll have to worry about later on. But so there's going to be different segments that we're going to talk about. We're going to have the unfiltered segment. We're going to have business spotlight. We're going to have for the culture and pillow talk. So let's go through every single one of these segments just really quickly so that you know what you're going to love, what to like look out for. Unfiltered, we're going to talk about, have real conversations about faith, beliefs, and what shapes our spiritual perspectives. Business Spotlight will highlight amazing Christian creators, business owners, and explore how successful businesses thrive and what we can learn from each of their journeys. For the culture, we'll be embracing our culture, celebrating our roots, and picking up everyday skills. Pillow talks would be relaxed chats, easy laughs, and a cozy feeling of real talk among friends. So, what that means is we're just gonna talk, we're gonna chat, we're gonna just have conversations about real life stuff because I want you to be able to have this space as a way to feel safe to talk about the things that are so like serious and so real and are sometimes funny. But even just know that like you have a place here because we're a Christian podcast, but it's not, you know, I don't want this to be a podcast where it's stuffy, if that makes sense. So that's the whole point of PJ Conversations. It's very relaxed. So make sure that every episode you are wearing your most comfy jammies and you are having a great time. Pull out your popcorn, get your Bible out, and prop yourself up in your bed or on your couch and chill out, because that's exactly what this podcast is for. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel. Make sure you guys check us out on Spotify podcast and also Apple Podcasts. And then make sure you guys go to our Instagram as well on PJ Conversations Podcast. Okay? So every week we're going to have an episode. Every single week we're going to have an episode. And I want to make sure that you guys are tuned in. For all of my Instagram people, I am going live on YouTube as well. If you want to check us out on YouTube, make sure you do, because for future episodes, there's going to be some videos and reactions. And I want to make sure you guys are getting everything, all of the tea. So make sure you guys check us out on YouTube. Okay, so what is happening today? Today, we are going to have a conversation, and I just wanted to be real. So today's segment is the unfiltered segment. I want to make sure that you guys know we're going to have like a real talk, because starting this podcast was honestly something that I didn't expect, because I had honestly stopped myself from doing this. And so I want to have a conversation about why it is so important to be obedient to God's plan. Sometimes we can get in the way of our own selves. We can get in the way of what God is doing in our lives, and we'll be crying and like praying and just yelling and arguing with God, just pleading for him to give us just a little bit of something. You know what I mean? When in reality, he's waiting on us to be obedient, completely obedient. And that's a part of the problem sometimes. Sometimes we are so caught up in our own selves. We're so caught up in what it is that we want that we're not remembering what God told us to do in the first place. So, why do I say that? Why does this have to do with PJ Conversations in the first place? Well, when I first had the idea of starting PJ Conversations, it was going to be a part of the YouTube channel in a completely different way. I wanted to just have like as a reaction channel, reacting to like Reddit stories and just like, just talking with some friends, getting friends a part of the podcast, and, having an episode like every month and do something like really intense and really big. Now, there's still something that could happen, but the issue was I didn't start taking the time to like prepare for what that would look like in the future. I didn't take the time to like look into like how many friends I would need to have on the podcast episode. Like I didn't think about what would that entail, and that became a problem. And I realized very slowly that this wasn't going to happen because I just wasn't putting in the like correct work. So eventually I ended up like switching some things over and decided, oh, how cool would it be if PJ Conversations had some events to go with it? And so I decided to host my first event. And I did. I actually hosted my first event, and it was great. It was just family and friends. It was a PJ Conversations. What was it? What was it called? I think I have the flyer actually. It was PJ Conver. What's it called? PJs and Prayers. That's what it was called. PJs and Prayers. And with that, and I'll show you the flyer eventually. But PJs and Prayers was an awesome event because I had some friends and family, and we created prayer boards actually. And it was awesome because I fully believe that like having a vision,
writing your vision down, writing your goals down for the next year, and even praying over them consistently, it does wonders. The Bible tells us in Habakkuk 2:2 to write the vision and make it plain. And I fully believe that. And I didn't want to do something like traditional, what everybody does and does do a vision board, but I wanted to actually do a prayer board. And my prayer board is up on my wall right now. I'll take a picture of it and I'll post it on the Instagram page so you guys can see it later. But I think that it has honestly been the best choice in my entire life to do, because throughout the entire year, what you do is you have different envelopes and you write down on the envelopes what you're praying for. So, like career, finances, relationships, health, and answered prayers at the bottom. And then you put index cards in each of the envelopes, and those index cards are what you pray over every single time. So you can pray over it as many times as you want. You can pray over as many things as you want, and you just stick it in your envelope. And I like to date mine because I date for when I was praying over it first, and then I date for when it was answered. And you don't know how many answered prayers I have gotten. And also, I've realized how many things that I was praying over that I shouldn't have been praying over for that long. There were some things that I started praying over, and I would see months and months and months down the line that it was something I genuinely did not even like care about anymore. And not because like it wasn't important, but because like my desires changed, but because God had changed my desires. God had done new things in my life. And I wanted to make sure that I saw the evidence of what God was doing in my life consistently throughout the year. And so for PJs and prayer nights, we did a vision board party where we, instead of doing the regular vision board, we created the prayer board. And that made me feel so empowered. It made me feel like I was doing something right. The issue that happened after that was I was supposed to do another event and I ended up not doing it. I ended up canceling it because I was so afraid that people would not show up. People would not show up for my next event. And instead of continuing on and doing what I was supposed to be doing, instead, what I did was just stop the whole thing. And that's not good. And there's so many things that I feel were halted simply because I was not obedient and I was not consistent. And I don't know how many of you guys are like that, or how many of you guys have experienced the same thing. But when I tell you, it is probably one of the most heartbreaking experiences to realize how disobedient you have been and how it's your fault that things have not gone the way it should. I'm going to tell you another story of when I realized that I was being disobedient and when God had to check me, and like how it all ended up coming together at the end. Um, so, for those of you who also do not know, I have started a couple of businesses throughout my lifetime. I am currently the CEO and founder of Christian Creator Network. I want you guys to make sure you check this out, Christian Creator Network. Christian, put it in the chat. Christian Creator Network. We'll put our website as well. Okay, so Christian Creator Network is my media consulting agency. We are a number one Christian media consulting agency in the world. And I say that with confidence because I know what God is doing in our business and I know the impact that it's going to make on so many lives already. Um, But I started CCN back in 2020 when COVID happened, and my job had shut down. I was a daycare teacher for some time. I was still in college. And I decided that I wanted to start a social media marketing business because I really loved doing social media. And I felt that there were too many ministries who do not understand and know how to actually like market themselves well. So that's why I started CCN. Simultaneously, a friend of mine invited me to this amazing opportunity, and I joined an awesome beauty company in network marketing, and that's where I learned literally everything that I needed to learn about business. We're going to talk more about this in a future episode, but I just wanted to give you guys some context. So when I started both of these businesses, I had no idea anything about business. I never went to business school, I never took business classes. I didn't know anything about what it meant to have a business or start a business. And that was something that I wanted to change because I always knew I wanted to be a change maker. I wanted to do something exciting. I just didn't know what it was. And so I started these businesses, and my social media marketing business took off. I was having a great time learning with my beauty business. I was doing amazing things. The only problem was that I wasn't consistent with both. It was either one or the other. Like I would like take a whole lot of months to like focus on one part, and then the other one would like fall flat, and then it would like flip flop. And that's not sustainable for any business, especially when you're first starting. And so the issue that I ended up dealing with was eventually I had to make a decision on which one would be the most important in my life at a certain time. And so CCN became a huge part of my life, and my beauty business kind of went to the back burner. I ended up not getting like many clients, didn't sign on anybody. Like I struggled and I honestly failed. Like I failed. I'm going to be so transparent. I failed in that business. Like so much. And it was because I was just inconsistent. But CCN started to thrive. I started to get more clients. I was so busy. I was so busy to the point where it was just like every single hour was planned. Every single hour, there was something going on, something that I needed to do, someplace I needed to be. It was great, but it was draining. And I let that part, that draining part, hinder so much of myself to the point where I had ended up losing all my clients, and I just plateaued from there. And just, it was just like nothing. It was dead for about a year and a half. It was just dead. And I started to just feel discouraged. I lowered my prices. I started to compromise on things. I started to, try to get jobs in other areas. Like I was doing so many things when every single time all I needed to do was just like be obedient. I heard God say very clearly what it was I was supposed to do. I was supposed to create more content. I was supposed to go out in the community more. I was supposed to like there was so much stuff I was supposed to do, and I didn't do it because one, I was afraid. Two, I was tired, and I started to get lazy, and I felt like maybe I see people who can just post once and be fine, like, and knowing that like that's not true. Like there was stuff I knew that I was supposed to do, and I just didn't do it. And that's why I say to you, being obedient can take you places that you never expected or imagined to go. All you have to do is step out of your own comfort zone. All you have to do is deny your own flesh. And I learned what that meant for the first time in my life because I realized that denying my flesh didn't mean, like not, absolving from temptation. You know what I mean? Denying my flesh didn't just mean like not doing stuff that you're like not supposed to do with other people, like stuff like that. Denying your flesh is so much more. It means like when you feel lazy, when you don't feel like doing anything, when you don't feel like going out and networking and connecting to people, or getting up and creating content and just putting a little bit of makeup on and doing your hair a little bit, like, and just doing it like that. You just do it because you realize the impact that it's going to make, the people who it can influence, even if it's just one person. There's so many things that we have to remove from our own selves. And I remember the moment where God had told me that I needed to regroup and be obedient. And when He told me that the reason why I'm not making it, the reason why I'm not succeeding, the reason why I'm not doing, like, I'm not where I'm supposed to be 4 years into your business, is because you weren't obedient. You weren't following the steps I gave you. You started listening to other people. You started to get afraid. And you can't do that. I mean, how many people in the Bible tell us that we shouldn't do that, right? There's a lot of people in the Bible who give us that example, um, that that shouldn't be the case, right? And I feel that the more and more that we just like realize that, like, the happier we're gonna be. I like lost so many things because of it. I lost my jobs, I lost my clients, I lost a lot of happiness. I was depressed because I was broke. I lost happiness in my relationships with friends, and even me and my boyfriend. We like just fought because we were unhappy because we were broke and because I was in the house 24/7 and I was like not doing what I was supposed to be doing. Like, let's be real. When you're in somebody's face 24/7, you start to nitpick on all of the things, you know, that you see, even if it's not even stuff that's like a big deal, right? And then even for things that are like serious things, you don't forgive yourself. You, like myself, like I never give myself time to even like think about it or respond, like instantly just upset because I haven't taken the time to practice how to deny my own flesh, how to check my own mouth, you know, all of the things that you need to do in order to be successful. There were so many things that I ended up losing out on. And the one thing that took me by surprise and literally grabbed me, pulled me back in, and made me realize and see for myself that I needed to change was this thing here. I had seen this sermon from a lovely woman named Amy Doherty. Amy Dockery from Covenant Church. She is amazing. If you have not ever heard anything from her, check her out. And one of the Bible passages that she was reading from was Matthew 25, 1 through 13. And I'm actually going to read it out loud for you guys. Okay, Parable of the 10 Bridesmaids. Then the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 bridesmaids who took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish, and 5 of them were wise. The 5 who were foolish didn't take enough olive oil for their lamps, but the other 5 were wise enough to take along extra oil. When the bridegroom was delayed, they all became drowsy and fell asleep. At midnight, they were roused by the shout, "Look, the bridegroom is coming! Come out and meet him!" All the bridesmaids got up and prepared their lamps. Then the 5 foolish ones asked the others, "Please give us some of your oil because our lamps are going out." But the others replied, "We don't have enough for all of us. Go to a shop and buy some for yourselves." But while they were gone to buy oil, the bridegroom came. Then those who were ready went in with him to the marriage feast, and the door was locked. Later, when the other 5 bridesmaids returned, they stood outside calling, "Lord, Lord, open the door for us." But he called back, Believe me, I don't know you, so you too must keep watch, for you do not know the day or hour of my return. And while I understand and I know that that specifically is talking about the coming of Jesus and how we need to be ready, there was another part that God had whispered and said to me about that was, you need to be ready for when I have this next thing in your life for you. Like, you want all of this stuff for your business, you want all of this stuff in your life, but you're not ready. You're not prepared. Why do you think I'm going to give you this if you're not prepared for it? And that checked me so bad because I thought that I was just good enough. I thought that once it came, I would just like fall into place. But that's not realistic. That's not truth. That's not reality. You have to prepare for it. And so God had literally took me out and had said, okay, so you're not going to be doing your social media business for a while. I want you to get a job. You need to get a job. One, because you don't have any money. So I want you to get a job. And this is going to be a job that you're not happy in. This is going to be a job that you're not like ready for. But when you are doing this, while you're doing this, you have to get ready. Get your systems in place. Get your stuff together. Organize your schedule better. Start reaching out to potential clients. Start doing the things you were supposed to be doing while you were sitting and laying down and watching TV and watching Netflix and Amazon Prime and watching your K dramas and all that stuff. Do what you were supposed to be doing. And then when I know you're ready, I will prepare that one thing, and that will be your test on whether or not you are actually going to be obedient or not. And so I got this job. I was working at a call center. I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. And I was being obedient. I said, okay, I'm going to wait. And why was Matthew 25, 1 through 13 so important to me? Because I did not want to be one of the ladies who had to go back and get my lamp and get my oil and get all my stuff together and miss out on the opportunity. I did not want to be that person. And so I made a decision from that point on that even though I'm at this job that I don't really like, I'm not going to miss out on opportunities. I still prepared myself in my job that I didn't like and ended up doing so well that if I stayed, I would have done well. I didn't want to stay, so I didn't stay. But I wanted to make sure that I kept my integrity and I did everything that I was supposed to do and worked no matter what job it was with what's it called? Not utmost respect, but like in a way where it pleases God, where God is shown no matter where I'm at. I wanted to be a light. I wanted to make sure that the Holy Spirit was there no matter if it was a job that I liked or didn't like, you know, because there's still people there who needed to be ministered to. There's still people there, you know, who I could encounter and lessons to learn and yada, 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 everything. And so I literally like wanted to take that opportunity. And it was crazy because I ended up like still like trying to like reach out for clients and grow my business and all this stuff. And I was doing all of these amazing things, but it took about 6 months. 6 months? October, November. No, it's 3 months. 3 months. It took 3 months. And those were very long 3 months. It took 3 months for me to realized that there was so much that I could do. And I had realized that if I could every day wake up and work for these people, if I could every day wake up and try in this job and try to be successful and even though I'm tired, still like try to get clients and prepare my systems when I get home and all of this stuff, if I could do all of that, now I can do that consistently for my own self, for the ministry that God has called me to do. I can do that. I don't have to sit and lay around at home. I don't have to if I don't want to. Because the truth is, I have to think about what it is that I want. You have to think about what it is that you want for yourself. Do you want to be staying where you're at? Do you want to be successful? Do you want to be happy? What is it that you want for yourself? You have to be honest, because the reality is, if you don't really want it, then of course, don't do it. But if you want it, why are you stopping yourself? Why are you doing other things? Like, you're unhappy. Why do you want to stay unhappy? That just doesn't make any sense. It's crazy. The reality is, God has given us so much that we can do. We just have to take the time to discover it, to learn, and stop waiting on other people to tell you what to do. Stop waiting on other people to solve the problem for you. Stop waiting on the prophetic word at church when you already know what God has told you to do. You don't need confirmation from 5 people, 10 people. God already said what it is that you need to do. But the reality is, sometimes we're just not being obedient about it. Why? Because you're afraid of what's going to happen next. You're afraid of the backlash. You're afraid that nobody's going to show up. You're afraid that, so what if nobody show up? So what if nobody is on your live stream? So what if nobody shows up to your event? So what if nobody purchases your product for the first week? So what? You have to still show up, because the reality is, God wants you to prepare. These people in Matthew were waiting on God. They were waiting on God to show up. They were waiting, on the bridegroom to show up. But they were still prepared. And that's the exact same thing that you have to do. You have to get prepared. Being obedient is not just about doing the things that make you feel good, or even just like not sinning. Because the reality is that even delayed obedience is disobedience, because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. That's the truth. And so you need to make a decision on how you're going to move forward from now on. And for me, when I had learned that, I had gotten my first client. She's an amazing person. I had gotten my first client in a while. And I wanted to make sure that I took it seriously. And then after that, I was able to get another client. And then after that, I was able to get another client. And then after that, I was able to get another client. And my business ended up reaching goals that I thought were dreams. Dreams. All because I made the decision that I was going to be obedient. I ended up meeting awesome people and getting mentors and doing all this stuff. And this just happened to me last year. This year is my highest grossing. That's not what I was going to say. This year, this year I've made more money than I've ever made in my business. All because I prepared myself and because I made the decision to be obedient. And of course, I'm not going to say that I was perfect at it this year. I wasn't. I told you what happened with PJ Conversations. I wasn't perfect, but I wanted to try to be perfect. At least try. And starting PJ Conversations, I made the decision that I wanted to fulfill the things that I said to God that I was going to do this year. And even though I didn't fulfill all of it like to completion, there were still things that I wanted to say yes to God to. And this is one of them. So, to bring it all together, God has done some amazing things in my life, and He can do amazing things in yours. All you have to do is make the choice to say yes. And I promise it is so worth it. On your own time, I urge you to read Matthew 25, 1 through 13, and really study it. Like, really study it. And if you have some other time, take a look at Amy Dockery. She is awesome. Amy Dockery. She is an amazing woman of God. And when you watch her sermons, like really take notes and write down the things that God has told you to do in 2024 and start making plans on how little by little you can start checking off those boxes for 2025. Because even though you may not have finished it this year, that doesn't mean your life is over. God gave me another chance, and He's giving you another chance to say yes to Him. It's just up to you on whether or not you want to answer it or not. But that's all I have for now, because this is just the beginning of so many amazing, wonderful things that's going to happen in this podcast. And I don't want you to miss out on any of it. So make sure, like I said, you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at PJ Conversations Podcast. And follow me, I am Arshana, on Instagram. And also make sure that you are subscribed and tuning in on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, because I don't want you to miss out on any of it, and I want you to get the replay. All right? All right. But I want to thank you guys so much for joining in. Thank you guys so much for being a part. And I really pray and hope that you just receive so much love, so many blessings from God. And I know that there's so many things that are in store for you and for your household. And yeah, I love you guys so much. And thank you guys for joining on this first live stream. There's going to be so many like updates and things happening. Anyway, I love you guys so much. It's your girl Arshana. Stay blessed. Be blessed.